A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show. It's the first one for the week, and we promise to make it worth your while. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Of course, on the show tonight, our highs, and of course, highs and our hearts will be at San Siro to see what's currently going on. Let's talk about the UEFA Champions League. We'll also talk about what's happening on the domestic scene. Of course, we'll also give you a slice of what some people call the lesser sports, but on this show, we don't call any sports the lesser sports. So we'll do our best to talk about Scrabble on the show tonight. We'll also talk about the National Youth Games. And, of course, we'll also talk about the UEFA Champions League, what's currently going on as we speak, what's going to happen tomorrow. The managers have been talking. Pep Guardiola has been speaking. And, of course, Carlo Ancelotti has been speaking as well. As you know, on the show, I'm not always alone. Of course, I got my colleague, Austin Okon-Akpan, and we will be taking this trip together across the money-spinning world of sports. And so, hello, Austin. It's good to take this ride with you again.
Spotted greetings to you, Yemi, and of course, everyone joining us from different parts of the world on the show tonight. What a story right here in Europe. It's all about UEFA Champions League. Big night for Inter Milan and AC Milan. Halftime goalless at the San Siro. Advantage Inter Milan from the first leg that they won 2-0. AC Milan will need to push in the second half, but they need to be careful so Inter don't capitalize on their adventurous nature and go on to win it. It's the UEFA Champions League. It always gets us talking, and it will get us talking tonight, Yemi.
All right. That's good. All right, let's bring, of course, Kehinde Idris into it. So, Kehinde Idris, greetings to you. Thanks for finding out time to be with us on the show tonight. And, of course, I'm very sure you listen to Austin. Probably you have a Champions League on your mind as well.
Yeah, of course, on my mind as well. It's good to be here. Always looking forward to Tuesday night, for sports tonight. And it's always fantastic joining great guys, to talk sports. And I think this brothers, going up against each other. So I went down last week. This week, first half already gone. I think on my mind, but also, already having a place where I can tilt towards. So then you talked about some people call it lesser sports. We don't call any sport lesser. As long as it's a sport, it is good enough because humans would eventually get to be champions in that same sport. And when you put humans, on the same pedestal, humans are humans. There is no lesser human or, bigger human. So we talk about any sport at the, the height that it should be talked about.
Let me go to Austin. And Kehinde is being gracious because he told me that it's over. He has not said that on air, but he told me off air, off camera, it's all over. I don't know if you're thinking like that as well.
Game between AC Milan and Inter Milan?
Yeah.
Hello, Yemi?
Yeah. The semi-final game, semi-final second leg.
Yeah,
as far as it's concerned,
I just wanted to be sure because, I wanted to be sure because I heard him saying he knows where this is swinging. It's football where anything can happen, And if you take a look at AC Milan and their run in this year's UEFA Champions League, they've been springing surprises. I'm sure we didn't expect them to go on to upset Napoli, but they did just that. And they know Inter Milan so well. Don't forget that first leg, a lot of things happened. I think they lost that game in the first 15 minutes of the match. Edin Dzeko, a player that is 37 years old, he became the second oldest player to score in the UEFA Champions League. Graham Giggs holds the record. A 37-year-old Edin Dzeko opened scoring for Inter. 35-year-old Mkhitaryan scored the second goal. So before AC Milan could understand what was going on, they were down 2-0. But this is football where anything can happen. You never say never. With what I saw in the first half before coming on air, AC Milan might just turn it around. Turn the heat on and see if they can push Inter Milan. But they should be careful because they might just get punished. So it's not over, Kehinde Idris. It is not over until it is over.
Okay, all right. So let's move on from there because we're going to be talking a lot about the UEFA Champions League down the line. But let's come home, even though you're far away from home. But let's come home and talk about the National Youth Games and of course what to expect and preparations for it. I'm very sure you'll be closely monitoring as well.
That's right, and this one always gets us talking whenever it's coming. It's one for the grassroots. It's one for talent discovery and development. And we've always, urged the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, the different sports council to take it very seriously. I think the last one that was held in Ilorin, produce young talents for the country. States also use it to, see how far they've come in terms of developing those talents. So yes, we're looking forward to this one also and see if it will be better than the last.
Yeah, we're looking forward, hoping that it's going to be better. But let me allow Kenny to say something before probably we listen to the key stakeholders telling us the direction things will go. When you hear national sports, national youth games, what comes to your mind really?
I think molding, discovery. When I said molding, discovery comes first. Then you get those names, who look like world beaters, or maybe we should start from African beaters, the world beaters, and then you mold them into being that. That is what the National Youth Games is about. You want a case where you discover 10, 20 names today, and probably in some 2 years from that time, 3 years, 5 years, you want them to be in the National Sports Festival, which is the biggest of stages. But prior to that, you want to already hear these names, competing against the, the biggest from around the world. The same way we're having the National Youth Sports Festival in Nigeria, National Youth Games, same way it happens all around the world. There must be a place for every young star, for every young, up and coming, to display what they can do. They get discovered, and then they get molded into being that thing that the whole world will now start talking about the biggest of. That's why sometimes you hear at 16, some are already in the big stage. At 17 and all of that. Those are players, athletes, sportsmen and women who at the age of probably 15, they've already shown to the entire country that we are ready for the top stage. Yeah. So we don't have to wait any further. Yeah. So this is where we discover them. And from the last Ilorin, like Austin mentioned, a lot of names. I'm a Lagos person, true and true. But a lot of names from around, the entire country that today we are talking about them, even in some like Udoma, a fine young woman who is very good on the tracks and all of that. All right. And then you go on and on mentioning names from, the Lagos team, as much as they didn't win, but we had names. All right. And this is what we're talking about. It's not winning at this stage. Or it's not about the team that won. It's about the names that these states can give to Nigeria. We nurture, mold them, and then we'll be talking about them representing Nigeria at the biggest of stage.
All right. Talking about the National Youth Games in general, but let's talk about what's actually in the news. And what's in the news, the Delta State government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the federal government to host the National Youth Games for the next 4 years. So the National Youth Games has a home now, and of course you can see from your pictures that event, you can see the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development right there, and of course the Delta State governor there, and that ceremony took place at the Government House in Asaba, and of course you could see Governor Ifeanyi Okowa there of Delta State signing that on behalf of the government. The minister praised the state for taking up the challenge to provide, like Kenny said, a home for the country's future talents. Let's quickly listen to the sports minister make some remarks at that event. We'll come back for more on Sports Tonight.
National Youth Games is the subsoil of our sports development. The National Youth Games is the subsoil for our talent hunt. The National Youth Games is the subsoil for grassroots sports development. That is where it starts from. My own sports philosophy is bottom up. Unless you find them when they're young, unless you nurture them, just like when you plant a seed, they cannot give you the podium performance that you need. So I often say that the goal is in the child. Is when you find them young, you train them, you nurture them, and then they can hit podium performance. So this morning, for me, it's a very, very important aspect of my work as a round-up to make sure that I live with the confidence that for the next 4 years, our young talents, undiscovered, some of them discovered, will find a home in Delta State with the support of the Delta State government for the next 4 years for the National Youth Games. Thank you very much.
All right, some remarks from the sports minister, Sunday Dare. Well, outgoing sports minister, by the way, but of course it's good he was able to secure a home for the National Youth Games for the next 4 years. Austin, this gladdens my heart, and I'm very sure you will let us listen to the governor later on. But obviously this gladdens my heart. And the fact that at the highest level, we're taking some of these things seriously is something that really is commendable.
Very important, and I think they've got a beautiful home in Delta State, because Delta State, they've done, quite remarkably in terms of talent discovery and development. Let me just mention a few: Ese Brume, Blessing, Okagbari, Divine, Oburu, Dudu. Quite a number of talents that have come out of Delta, that have gone on to represent the country and even make the country proud. So Delta State, they understand what it means to groom talent, and now making it the home of the National Youth Games, just solidify their place as, that breeding ground. So it's a good one. 4 years now, we don't need to say, oh, where are we going for the National Youth Games? There's an MOU in place. Now athletes know that they will start preparing to go to Delta to compete. The Delta State government, they also now know that they are going to, do their best to give the National Youth Games a proper, organization and start getting ready, particularly in terms of infrastructure development. I like this because, as you mentioned, and we listened to them also, Sunday Dare is rounding up as Minister of Youth and Sports Development. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa is leaving office as Governor of Delta State, but they are still doing things to, ensure that they leave some sort of legacy. And that's just, a good one for sports development in Nigeria. Let's listen to the Governor of Delta State talking about this MOU that has made Delta State the home for the National Youth Games.
I want to thank you for encouraging the Youth Games nationally. It's something that is very important and is done on a yearly basis. We are happy to host it in the next 4 years. We are confident that we have the enabling environment, the peace, and the facilities to host the games. As I said, I called it our own because in the last several years, the much I can remember, we have continued to win in the first position. We encourage all other states to compete favorably for the second position and other positions. Because the first position, I guess, is permanently ours. And we don't intend to slow down, but we want to encourage them to truly compete. So we truly thank you for developing the youth. Sports is a good way to develop the minds of our youth, to help them to build discipline, to relate with each other, and as they relate with each other across the nation, we are helping to build bonds of unity across Nigeria, and it's actually very, very important. So we are truly very encouraged. Here in this state, we do not take it lightly. Very soon, we're going to have another youth games in our state. We have it on a yearly basis, the football competition. And also several other competitions that we do have. We believe that catching them young is the best, trying to develop their mind from the onset, and I believe that that is something that we believe that we need to sell to other states and to hope and pray that we can become very competitive early enough in the course of life.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State speaking about the National Youth Games and its importance to sports development in Nigeria. Kehinde Idris, did he say some of the things you wanted to hear?
Yes. He talked about how the hosting nation is happy to get to host for the next 4 years. That means there is a ball already set rolling. So whichever administration comes after Okowa, you understand there are some things on ground that you need to just, go on with. Then also, it talked about the competitiveness. Whether you're hosting or not, you're still hosting to also, discover. While you're discovering, you want to win. Yes, as much as we say, getting to discover and nurture is the aim for youth games, whether it's football or so many other sports. The most important thing is the fact that you also want to compete favorably, because if there is chance to win gold at the age of 16, why not? So that is on one side. Then also on the other side, when stakeholders come together, get an understanding, and they go in sync in the same direction, I think it's best for, quote and unquote, those we call, the grass, because these are elephants in this field. Administrators take decisions, and then the sportsman and woman, or the sport boys and girls, will just, follow whatever template or whatever program is on ground. So I love the logistics, I love the understanding, and I love the fact that we're thinking of helping the future, athletes. Now, whichever players, whichever athletes that comes through the ranks won't be the same for next year, won't be the same for, 3 years, 4 years from now. So we already have a template. But for anybody coming in, Sunday Dare is leaving, we would have another sport minister. 4 years is long enough for us to have plan for who would succeed, who would successfully take over from Delta State. It shouldn't be 1 year to having this ending, or a few months to it, and then we'll start talking about where do we go from here. Let us start the plan from now. For presently, Delta State Governor, wonderful, and for also the Sport Minister, Sunday Dare, I love your coming together, and we want to enjoy this period, especially not having borders of where we'll be going. For journalists, we know where we'll be for the next 3-4 National Youth Games.
And I also think one of the things that we can't quantify that has happened is integration. And it has to be said, youths get the chance to travel across the country, mix with themselves. I remember growing up, there were some myths about some places in the country that it's until when you meet people from those parts that you can dispel those erroneous notions. So apart from what we're going to get from sports, we're going to get in terms of integration, and that is something you can't quantify. And that's why I'm very happy with something like this. And of course, at a time like this in the history of this country, this goes in a long way to keep the peace, keep the unity. And I just hope it continues like that. All right, guys, let's move on the show. We've said bits on the National Youth Games and all the pluses. We've not seen any minuses so far, so that's good. But also, let's kick it together now and talk about Scrabble, the African Youth Scrabble Trophy Tour hitting the country. It's going to touch some other places as well, but it's around the country. And of course, that championship is scheduled to hold in August here in Nigeria, in Dimu, in Lagos, to be precise. But it's very good to have all of these things happening in and around the same time. There's a delegation that paid a courtesy visit to around some schools in Nigeria. And when you look at all of these stories, you're getting them. It seems we're beginning to penetrate the grassroots.
I think that's the way to go. This is good. We just finished talking about the National Youth Games, and now we're talking about the Youth Scrabble Championship. This trophy tour actually began in Accra this month, the beginning of this month, and now it's coming to Nigeria, and it will motivate the youth. That's Wellington Jigere right there. I think 2015 world champion went to Perth in Australia to defeat an Englishman to become a world champion. And this is Scrabble that we're saying we can actually use to empower young people. A lot of young persons, play Scrabble for leisure. It helps the mind intellectually. It has a lot of benefits to, kids, and adults can also, play in it. So we're getting ready for the Scrabble Championship, and the tour of the trophy is a good way for them to get started. I think we'll need to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll get more on this African Youth Scrabble Championship, the trophy tour, and what it can do for the development of the sport in Nigeria. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is trailblazing. There are a lot of firsts that are involved in this. This is the first time that we're going to have a global African Youth Scrabble Championship. It's the first time that we're going to have a trophy tour of any trophy at all for Scrabble. So the impact of this event is big. You know, this is all leading to the African Youth Scrabble Championship anyway, all these events. And today is going to be a watershed in history of Scrabble growth and the empowerment of the youths in Nigerian Scrabble.
It's a big impact. I remember one of the schools we went to in Ghana, Christ the King, in cantonment in Accra. And the kids didn't want to go back into the class. You know, they were holding the trophy and they were shouting, "Trophy, trophy." They were almost pulling the trophy out of the hands of the world champion, Jigere Wellington. You know, even in Juja Preparatory in Nairobi, in Kenya, it was the same. So, I mean, the kids are looking forward to it. It's something totally different. It offers something totally different. For the first time ever, the kids are now considered for a championship. We've always focused on the senior events. We've had 14 African Scrabble championships to date, and we've had none for the youth. So it's the first time it's happening. It's beautiful, they're expectant, and we can't wait to have them in Nigeria.
We are looking at a possibility of featuring Scrabble, even if as a demonstration sport in the very next edition of the African Games. That is a very huge milestone accomplishment for us. That is just an example of one of the fringe benefits that this trophy draw has helped us accomplish. And there are a whole lot more that we have been able to, things we didn't even think were in the offing that came to be as a result of this trophy tour. And we are really, really excited about how much we have accomplished and how much we are still yet to accomplish.
So that's it for our world Scrabble champion, Wellington Jigere, talking about the African Youth Scrabble Championship and the trophy tour that is happening in Nigeria. And that trophy tour will end tomorrow, and then it will head to Kenya, and then Liberia and Uganda. So this is serious Scrabble competition we're talking about here. And the Pan-African Youth Scrabble Championship is scheduled to hold in Idzimu in Lagos. So we're putting Idzimu on the international map between the 24th and 28th of August. Kehinde Idris, this one excites me. Does it excite you too?
Super exciting. When the Pan-African president was speaking, he said, we've had 14 African championships for Scrabble, and we've never had a youth, youth games. And this time we're having it. That is inclusiveness, number one. Then number two, when all of the champions go into extinct, who are those that will succeed them? Definitely the young ones. And while I was schooled in Lagos Island, schooled in Ikeja, all the way to other parts of Nigeria and all of that, one thing that I've seen that it does not have anything to do with your level of education, how well I can speak good English, is the game that has to do with a lot of words, Scrabble. When I was in Ekiti, one of the best players is somebody that one-on-one, if you're speaking, you will do better. But when it comes to the board, that tells you talent abound. It does not have anything to do with, there is a particular set of people that can play this game. And it's super fantastic. Love it so well. And we had young ones, little ones, who are so excited, want to be a part of it. But if you don't have championship for them to display what they can do, then you will just see them, they will come, years will roll by, and that talent is gone. So make it more expressive, open it up, and that is what they are doing. And you can see Wellington, who had been to that, pinnacle, who understands what it means, who understands how it felt when he won that world championship and how it would mean to a young person to actually do that. So it excites me. It excites anybody who, like we said at the start, inclusiveness in every sport. On Sports Tonight, it's all about every sport, because Wellington is as much a world champion as you can talk about any other Nigerian who is doing well in their own sport. So, fantastic work.
Yeah, and the good thing for me is this generation that we have, the young ones, currently understand that sports is a pathway to success.
A huge pathway.
And it also gives them the opportunity not to throw away their foundation, which is the education. So having both at the same time helps them. And I listened to one of the respondents talking about, I think it was the president of the Pan-African Federation, saying that they've gone to schools where they were screaming, they were shouting, you know, the excitement is there. You know, most of these board games, apart from the fact that it helps your IQ, it also, I mean, one of the things you were trying to say that I so much agree with is not elitist. It's not, you know, there are some games people, even looking at the game, there are some things that dissuade you. There are some, I don't want to mention those games, so it doesn't look like, but there are some that you could just, anybody. Aside from the fact that it's a pathway to success, it can help your IQ, and it also brings people together. I mean, there's really, I'm very happy on the show tonight, we've talked about things that have no downside. And that's very interesting, and hopefully we'll get all the benefits from all of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a downside. This is not a downside, but it's just a reminder that the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development should give attention to, you know, some sports that they don't really look at because they're not football, basketball, athletics, but they are doing so well. You can put Scrabble in the mix, handball, badminton, start giving those sports the support that they need, you know, because, you know, they're just doing their bit to ensure that when we talk about sports in Nigeria, we don't just talk about football and basketball. So the ministry should sit down with those federations. See, look, we have a world champion in Wellington, Nigeria, and some other Scrabble players, and they are now huge inspiration to the youth. And Scrabble Scrabble goes beyond competition. You play Scrabble, you play chess, you are doing so much good to your intellectual capability, you know. So the ministry should do more. I'm glad that they took this trophy to the minister, you know, and then he has assured them of his support. So let's put words to action, support this other sport so that they can actually get the relevance that they deserve.
And one yardstick, since we're talking about supporting the so-called lesser sports, and one yardstick, I'm very sure Idris will agree with me as well, one yardstick you could that you could use to measure and be sure that the sport is getting the right attention, that things are going on well, is when the stars of the sports are more popular than the administrators of the sports. That is when you know you're doing well. But if you mention any sport in Nigeria and the only thing you can think of is the administrative differential, then there's a problem. And that's usually what I don't want to use the word hate, but what I do not like. You know, about some sports in Nigeria, some federations in Nigeria. You want to talk about the sports, but the only thing you can think of is the federation president.
I totally agree with you. And really, maybe we're now coming out with downsides and all. Even as much as we say basketball, athletics, football, and all of that, so many times the administrators take the shine of the gladiators themselves, the actual players, you know, what should not be. We shouldn't even know you. All we should know is the kind of, you know, ideas you come up with that the players can easily, you know, go with and then be world conquerors. That's what it should be. But look at Scrabble. We're talking of Wellington, and Wellington is way bigger than the entire board.
For instance, you want to talk about football in England, you probably won't.
You can't know the FA president. You can't know. You don't know his name.
To remember his name.
Exactly.
He's there. He's doing his job. But the players are more popular.
You know, and they should be more popular.
They should be. That's where we should go to. All right, let's move on the show. You know, Austin is with us, but also is monitoring what's going on elsewhere. So let's address the elephant in the room. We're going to, of course, the Giuseppe Meazza Stadium, San Siro to be precise, and see what is happening. Idris as well has been giving me some updates, but I'll go to Austin now. Close to 70 minutes, I think, played now, and nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. We're getting into the 73rd minute mark, and Inter Milan are still holding on to that precious 2-0 lead that they had from the first leg. AC Milan pushing, trying all they can, but they just can't break this Inter Milan side yet. I think they're playing with a little bit of the panic button, you know, in activation. So I think they should just let it go. It's 73rd minute now. do all your pushing and just try not to concede because they need to score. If they can get one now before we hit 80 minutes, then we're going to have the last final 10 minutes, with fireworks. And that's what I want to see, I'm not supporting AC Milan or Inter Milan, but I like to see proper contest. And for AC Milan, if you're down, just give it all the push. Try to get up so we can have something to talk about. So it's still goalless at the San Siro.
All right, can you just also put it rightly? Yeah. Somebody who is that, and that's a confirmation on the screen for our viewers. Situation report from the San Siro. Both teams use that stadium, but of course, AC Milan, the home team today, trailing. But also said it. But I'm going to say this in my own words. If you are down, you have nothing to fear. I mean, you're already 2 goals down. I mean, what else? It looks like you're on your way out. Why not give it a fight?
Boy, while you're giving it a fight, you need to also be careful. Because if Inter Milan gets a 3rd goal, then it makes their task even more heckling. So you don't want to do that. So as much as they want to go all out, gun blazing, they have to be mindful of their defense. Now, that is where the worry lies for a team like AC Milan in this situation. You don't want to throw out all your arsenal because the vulnerability at the defense is almost inevitable. So while they are doing that, they are also careful. So while you're being careful, you're also cutting short, your push. And Inter Milan understands this. Like I say, go and ask, teams they played in the round of 16 in the quarterfinals. This was the same thing. Get goals managed. Benfica will tell you right there in their home, in Portugal. Get those goals while you gave them probably on a platter. They got them and they managed the situation. And they are managing AC Milan just the way they should.
All right. I've just been informed that Inter has scored. So it's all over. Austin is all smiles because he got the information before we did. So Inter has scored. And anything can still happen, though. But it looks like it's. Maybe we should start talking about the second semi-final.
Austin said it's not over earlier now.
It's almost over now. But what a story! Lautaro Martinez with that goal for Inter Milan in the 78th minute, 79 minutes played now. So I think Inter listened to my analysis when I was saying if AC Milan can pull one back before the 80th minute mark, then we're going to have a cracker of a game. So they say, okay, let's score them one and see what they can do. So right now, it's Inter Milan 1, AC Milan 0, 3-0 on aggregate. So I think this is just good enough for Inter Milan to advance to the final of this year's UEFA Champions League. What a story.
Yeah, well, I never thought there was going to be any change, actually. But let's spend a few minutes we have left on the show to talk about the second semi-final. Let's go straight away. Pep Guardiola said it before the first leg, the game was going to be decided in Manchester, and it appears so. And, of course, right on the screen, you're going to see shortly, but right on the screen now you have the Manchester City players, walking out. And, a lot of people seem to think that Manchester City are slight favorites, not overwhelming favorites, but just slight favorites. Let's quickly listen to one of the guys that will make it happen, Kyle Walker, and let's listen to him. Maybe get to listen to Pep Guardiola too as well. Then we'll come back to talk about what we are likely going to see tomorrow.
I think it's big to every one of us in that dressing room. We know the goals at the end of it. It's a massive week for the club. We've put ourselves in, a fairly good situation, compared to 2 months ago, and that's in the Premier League. But, moving forward into the Champions League to go to the Bernabeu and get a 1-1, to then bring it to the Etihad, where I think we've been, more than confident, in the last number of years, especially in the Champions League, to go and get a result. And just hopefully we can, go and do that again. I went to hug him because he tried to rainbow flick me. So it was kind of more like, please don't try that again, because I don't want to be a meme or anything. But I think, boxers, they fight, they have a good battle, and then they shake hands after. And I think that's the level of respect that I do have for him. It was the same with any other player, that I feel when it's a good game, you go and give them that level of respect because they deserve it. They're carrying a lot of pressure on their shoulders as well to take, a massive club like that, over the line in the Champions League. They've not done well in their league, and, this is their kind of the last prize that they need to go and win. So, You show your respect to him, but as again tomorrow night, if chosen, you know, there's no respect after the whistle. I'll give him the respect that he deserves, but before then, you know, it's kind of dog eat dog.
Our legacy is exceptional already. So we have been here for many times already. So we are not stupid to know how important is tomorrow game. Is maybe one of the most important games since we are together here. We cannot deny that for the competition, for the rival, for many things. But I said to the players, so leave it like a huge opportunity. Enjoy the moment. How fortunate we are. We are incredibly lucky to be here. And it's in our hands. It depends on us. We don't have to do, I would say, something exceptional. It's just to do ourselves and win one game to reach the final. And we're going to give everything. We're going to do everything. I have an incredible feeling about the team and whatever happened. It's just thank you so much to them to bring us, all of us City fans, to be here again. We cannot deny. So we won all the titles except this one, and we want it. Of course, we want it. This is another opportunity we had 2 seasons ago when we lost the final against Chelsea last season, against Madrid this season again. So, and we want it. Of course, we want it. We with all desire, and I think with be intelligent and smart enough to do what you have to do to win that game. And this is what we wanted to do. People say, yeah, we are close, you know, for this kind of titles. I think we are far away. So come the most difficult games to play right now. So, but in the same time, every time it happened last season when we played against Madrid or previous season against Chelsea. It's a dream, you know, it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true to be here. So again, so nobody guarantee in the future we'll be here. Nobody can assure us. So we just, once we are there, let's go. Try with our people. Go for it for the first minute until the end. Be together in the bad moments that will happen. Defend and suffer in the bad moments. And with our people will play with 12 tomorrow. I'm pretty sure of that. With our people, we will do it.
All right, that's Pep Guardiola and Kyle Walker. I was hoping we were going to be able to listen to Carlo Ancelotti, but I'm told we have less than a minute to leave the studio. So, Kade Idris, I'll do this to you before I go to Austin. What do you think will happen tomorrow in 10 seconds?
Yeah, I think with what I saw in the first leg, I'm expecting a massive game. What
do you think will win straight away?
Yeah, I'll sit on the fence for this. I cannot.
Kade is not feeling brave. Let me go to Austin as we go tonight.
Yeah, I know we're definitely going to have fireworks, and that game is even 1-1 from the first leg. Manchester City need to prove a point. Tomorrow, you listen to Pep. He did all the talks, but he made an important reality check. He said that the game is in their hands, you know, so they need to prove a point that they are that big team that can make it to the final and see if they can win the UEFA Champions League. I know you want me to make a prediction. It will be Manchester City, Real Madrid, That's the show. In London, I'm Austin O'Connor, and in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Okay. All right. That's the show tonight. I'm not making any predictions. I'm all smiles. May the best side win. All right. That's the show. We're back again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.